Hey, welcome back to the channel. I am leaving work yet again today. Kind of a slow day. Tomorrow is my birthday. So today's slowness may have been a deliberate gift in disguise, or maybe it's just a happy coincidence. Anyway, so I was attempting to make a video last night, and I hit one of those nights where my brain was not working. But I had a pretty good topic in mind that I may make into a proper video later on. It's about the future of graphic design and whether or not, I guess answering the question whether or not it's worth getting into in 2026 moving forward. It seems to always be a topic of conversation every year. And you know, the truth of the matter is yes, it absolutely is worth it, but you have to be aware that it's an evolving profession. It's not. I guess I just don't understand this idea that, you know, graphic design is a easy way to make money. It's not. If anything, it's a terrible choice if you're looking for an easy way to make money. But what's rewarding about it is I get to use my creativity in such a way that allows me to be helpful for others, whether that be businesses, content creators, or even just for myself. You know, I've been in the graphic design world for, I mean, if we're talking real, like since 2008, it's been a while. And during that, see what, 2008, 2026 now, that's what, 14 years? Yeah, 14 years. So I've been almost in it, for a long time. But you know, I went to school during that time. I learned how to use the tools. You know, when I first started, I used a program called Quark Express. Many of you may or may not know what that is. I wouldn't be surprised if you didn't. It was, I guess you could say, maybe the competitor to Adobe way back when. But for whatever reason, they just didn't have the ability to compete with Adobe, and truthfully, I don't really know what happened with them, but they're obviously not around anymore. Adobe kind of took over, and you know, that was during the days when you can get Adobe products on discs and download them to your computer. It was a one-time payment thing. You couldn't, you know, there wasn't subscriptions at that point. Now everything is based on subscriptions. And really the biggest difference is you've got the world of artificial intelligence that's sort of blending itself into our world. And that in and of itself is a huge topic of conversation. Is AI ruining graphic design? Is it going to make it a dead profession, a dead career? Is it going to just totally get rid of it altogether? That's asinine. It's no way. It's not going to get rid of it, but it will change it. In some regards, it makes graphic design easier than ever to do. In other ways, almost sheds a spotlight on those who actually know how to be graphic designers and those who don't. It kind of, a long time ago, I really hated the idea of Canva. I didn't understand why that program was gaining popularity. To me, it just seemed like a cheap knockoff to Adobe. As time has gone on, I've started to understand more about it. It's still, in my opinion, no Adobe. I think Adobe is king, but where Adobe has things wrong is the amount of money that they're charging for their software. Maybe now with AI integrated into it, you could argue that it's almost worth the price, but Canva, it's like you're spending $10-15 a month versus almost 100 or over. Some people just don't have that kind of money, and I was younger at one point in time too. I wouldn't have been able to afford Adobe. I probably would have had to go the Canva route, but it is what it is. If anything, it's two options to help get people to learn software and learn how to be designers. In short, it's just an introduction software. I think it could do a lot, I will say, but it's just an introduction one. I mean, heck, my daughter the other day, she was telling me how she was using it in school, and she's only 10. I'm in my mid-30s. Like, it's just, yeah, man. If a child can use it, what does that tell you? I mean, kids in general are getting smarter now anyway, but yeah, I don't know. I'm maybe I'm a little biased to Adobe, but whatever. But is design? But does this make design a dead profession? No, it just makes it harder. You're competing with people who think they're designers, and maybe you have some people who really want to be good at designing, and right now Canva is the only option that they've got. Kudos. My only piece of advice would be to just keep learning, because as designers, I've been working professionally for over 10 years, and I will tell you, I am still learning, even though I'm over a decade removed from school. I'm always learning. Nobody knows everything. Somebody's always going to be better at you than something. You're always going to criticize your own work. It's just the nature of the beast. And part of that is that in and of itself, in a way, makes it kind of fun and challenging, because you're always pushing yourself and challenging yourself to do more creative work and trying things in a different outlet. Even 10 years ago, content creating wasn't entirely a thing, though I think it was sort of in its infancy. YouTube was kind of the thing back then. Then eventually Instagram came on board, and then TikTok. Now everything, it seems like content creating is that carrot on the stick everybody wants to get, but few do. But it's so appealing to everybody because everybody has a phone in their hand, or some kind of a camera, and YouTube is free to use. You just have to upload a video and keep uploading videos. Same thing with Instagram. Instagram has Reels, and TikTok and has it's just, the world today has changed so much, and anybody can get into this.
but you're going to have to fight for recognition. I won't pretend, my YouTube videos, I've only got 2 up there right now. This will be the 3rd. My presence on Instagram and TikTok, it's nothing to brag about. It's got some followers, but I've never really given this a real shot. And I think now more than ever, I'm determined to stay committed to something, whether that's upload a YouTube video every day or every other day, post on my other accounts, something. I want to also be able to not spread myself too thin. That was another problem, that I had is, even though I've been doing this for a long time, I never really consolidated my efforts into one single platform or one single brand. I've created several brands, not only for myself, but other people that I'm close to or have done business with. I've not had that one thing that has truly gotten mildly successful. I'm not going to say majorly successful, but who knows? Maybe someday it will. I can't see the future, but I am confident in myself because I know who I am based on my peers, and my peers have always praised my work ethic and even my design skills. So at this point, it's just me that's the roadblock in the road. And a lot of that has to go with my communication skills. I'm not a huge conversation guy. I don't sit in front of the camera, even though I'm kind of doing that now. But I think it's something that I have to try to break out of if I really want for this to even be a fraction of successful. But I guess I'm kind of rambling like I always do. But design as a whole is a skill, not so much a degree anymore. Maybe it doesn't. I don't know if design necessarily will hold a place in colleges as a degree anymore. That I can see. I can see it eventually morphing its way into college, into marketing. That's what I was trying to say. Marketing. That's currently what I'm doing as a profession. When I first got out of college, I started a job as a assistant graphic designer, and I was making maybe mid 30,000s at the time. This was before COVID, which, that was okay money, assuming I was a single guy, but I wasn't a single guy. I was in a relationship at that point, and it was heading towards a serious point in my life, and eventually I had to get a second job to kind of meet ends meet, but I weirdly found enjoyment in there because I was helping that specific business with my skills, and I was getting sort of a creative high from it because my touch was giving them success. And at some point, with what little investments that I was giving myself, it was reassuring me that my ability to execute certain tasks was becoming far more, what's the word I'm looking for? Less questionable. There's a better way of saying that, but that's just what popped in my head.
even now. Like, I eventually left that job and got this new one, but it was solely in marketing. However, the place that I ended up going to was in desperate need of not only a fresh set of marketing eyes, but desperately needed a creative touch that was of this decade. And that might be a little harsh to say, but in a way it's true. I don't think anybody would dispute it. But it kept reaffirming my abilities, and so now I'm just kind of at this point where I've tried doing YouTube before. I was like a gamer, and that didn't really pan out. I've been trying to do some more like meme videos. Meme videos are great, but they don't really, there's a difference between meme social media accounts and then your true content creators. I'm probably somewhere in the middle. I don't fancy myself nearly as verbal as a content creator, but I don't know. If this is something that I get more comfortable with, maybe that's something that I could do later, far more efficiently. It'll be kind of interesting to look back at videos like this and see how much I've improved, and how cringeworthy I look upon these videos. But I keep digressing here, but it's just, design is more of a skill at this point rather than a profession. And design is not a skill or profession where you're going to make tons of money. It's just not. If you were dead set on it being your only job in life, my advice, I would highly suggest you not rely on a standard 9 to 5. You're not going to make that much money. Do other things like, go out. If you don't know photography already, learn some photography. Go out and shoot some things. Understand how a camera works. Put those pictures up, put the good pictures up on sites like Adobe Stock or Shutter, or what is it, Shutterspeed? No, not Shutterspeed. I think it's Shutterstock. Damn, it shows you how often I use that. But sites like that, and you're not going to get rich and famous from that overnight. It'll take you a little bit to get to a point where you will. But you can even sell graphics, or right now I'm, this is a whole other topic, but learn how to sell print-on-demand stuff on Etsy. That's a current project that I'm deeply getting involved in, because while I'm making good money at my job now, I want to further cement my future with other creative opportunities and outlets. And if for some reason the world were to flip on its head again, at least I've got a backup. But never rely on just one source of income. That's kind of the thing they don't tell you when you want to get into this field. And even if they do, you probably don't believe it, because you just assume, hey, there's plenty of guys that are making great money off of this. Why can't I? I mean, you can, but it's not going to be an immediate success, and it's going to take time, because guess what? The reality is you probably suck. And I don't mean that in a harsh way, because I sucked too. I haven't really gotten to sharpen my skills until recently, really. And 10 years from now, I'm going to look back on the stuff that I'm doing now, and I'm going to think the same thing. It's how it is. You're always going to be trying to outdo yourself and improve, and you're always going to look back at your work that you've done in years past and think critically of it. I know I have. There's plenty of stuff that I did in school, and even client work that I think, gosh, like, I let that one get published? Like, really? Okay. Yeah, I don't know. It's just, it's not a dead skill or profession. It's not the same as it was 5-10 years ago. Once AI came on board, it changed the game. I mean, really, if you want a history lesson, look up the history of graphic design. It's gone through several changes over time. You're talking from the days of the ancients making paper and using that to communicate across borders into other countries. Eventually that incorporated pictograms, which, hey, newsflash, pictograms were kind of a thing even in the caveman days. Icons existed back then. They just existed in the form of animal fat and blood and other sorts of things that they could find to make colors. Eventually, as time has gone on, you got things like the press, and then eventually computers. It's always changing. And AI is, I believe, firmly believe that AI is the next chapter in the evolution of design. I will admit I use AI. I was at first hesitant to use it at all, but then I started learning and experiencing the benefits of it. And AI is great, but you have to understand that AI is not going to be the end-all be-all. It's going to make mistakes, and that's where you come into play, because you're going to be the one guiding it along. And it may give you something that you really like, but it maybe needs some kind of a tweak. For example, a logo. It might give you a great logo, but maybe you didn't want it in green, and maybe you tried telling it to go to purple or yellow or orange, and it just didn't look right. So you take that logo, bring it into like Illustrator, and you just change it. I mean, maybe you have to recreate it, maybe not, but at least you have that skill set to do that. Even with AI videos, for example, like the AI videos are kind of getting to be more of a specialty of mine, because even a year ago I didn't know how to do it. Hell, even 6 months ago I didn't even know how to do it. What I know now is a lot of trial and error, and maybe that's another key thing to take away from this, is trial and error, because you're not going to do something right the first time. It's going to take a few swings, and you're probably going to miss a few times, but eventually, once you get that final, once you get a hit and you get a win, it feels really good. And what feels even greater is the fact that on the next thing you'll be able to outperform, because you'll know how to hit it out of the park again. I don't know what else to say, really. It's just, the bottom line is that it is not a dead skill or profession, whatever you want to call it. It's just a different way of doing it now. And, guys and girls, my advice would be to just be open. Don't close yourself off to it. Learn how people are doing it now. Ask questions. Observe what's going on in media. Because believe it or not, watching YouTube videos or scrolling on Instagram or just walking down the street at a major retail area like a mall or even the city, you're going to see a lot of things that are done for the advertising and business world. You're going to learn just from observing, even looking at magazines or books, or I'd say video games, but video games can be kind of be a unique group. Maybe not a great source, but the point is everywhere you look, you're gonna find it, and as we further advance into this digital age, it's going to become more and more in demand, and it's not a dead profession. It's going to become much more in demand, but the only way it becomes a dead profession is as if you give up on it and you let others sort of outpace you and eventually become successful at it, and then maybe you have regrets. Maybe you have resentment that you didn't, stick with it. Who knows? I just say keep working on it. If you're really interested in doing it, do it. Just don't give up on it. The moment and the day that you give up on it, you proved yourself right that it's a dead thing, and it's not. So, I don't know. I don't really know what else I could really contribute to this. Like I said, this is kind of just me riffing off the top of my head, and this was something I tried doing in a sit-down fashion last night, and I just couldn't get the words out. And I mean, this video is already, well over 26 minutes, so maybe I'll just end it here. If you all have questions, feel free to ask me. If you think I'm wrong, great. Tell me why. I would love to talk about it. If you agree with me, great. I want to see what kind of portfolios you've got. I want to see what you're doing in today's world. Yeah. So I'll just end it there. Hope y'all are doing well, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.